Thanks for checking out this movie review. This is for the 1995 release Frostbiter Wrath of the Wendigo. And yes, I'm reviewing another Vinegar Syndrome release. I like the slipcover for this one, but I'm going to be honest, I like the original cover art more. Look at that. Look at how much more fun that is, in my opinion. So I'm glad that they do this where they kind of like leave the original artwork on there. It's nice, but, you know, I appreciate the slipcovers, all that jazz. I will tell you right now when I'm doing this review, I've watched some of the special features on this because this is packed. It is packed with special features. There are a lot of interviews on here, which I'm a big fan of. I'm going to go through all of them, but at this point I've only been through 3 of them, I believe. So I do have a little information based off that. Also, I said 1995 release. It was released by Troma in 1995. It started filming in 1988. So if you watch the film and you're like, this is from the 90s, really it was from the 80s, and then release ended up being in the 90s. But yeah. Also, it was originally just called Wendigo, but when Troma got it, they wanted to make it Frostbiter, Wrath of the Wendigo. So when the film comes up, it just says Wendigo. But anyway. Directed by Tom Chaney, who is writer and cinematographer for The Windwalker as well as Mosquito. Now, if you've been watching my channel and you saw my review for Mosquito, you know I really enjoy Mosquito. Don't own that one yet, but probably will be getting it at some point in the relative near future. Script is written by Chaney as well as Rick Cioffi and Steve Quick. Chaney himself worked odds and ends jobs in the film industry actually just to make money to make this movie. He's a truly dedicated individual, and the interview with him is wonderful because he's still doing film related stuff. He's actually, I gotta read it right, he teaches at the Motion Picture Institute in Michigan. So he's just kind of been in Michigan. That's where this film was shot, and I guess it's no coincidence that there's a lot of Evil Dead-esque stuff going on because Evil Dead was also done in Michigan, so it's like Sam Raimi and that whole crew, local heroes in the film industry for them. And they even have that moment in the film, I forget during which, I have it in my notes though, I'll bring it up then, but when you actually see on the wall of the cabin an Evil Dead 2 poster, so that's a very strong nod to, yes, we're inspired by Evil Dead. So yeah. All right. Well, they do a really good job early on handling the backstory in a very quick manner when they show the old man kind of sitting there writing. The old man who's the guardian to keep the Wendigo at bay. And he's kind of, writing this memoir-ish thing to a degree, kind of giving the backstory on how he became the guardian, what the Wendigo is, all that type of stuff. So it's a smart way to get people caught up on the premise, so that for the rest of the film, it can just be fun. And that's what this film is to me. It's just fun. There's not a lot of story. It's people have to fight the Wendigo. That's basically what it is. Wendigo big, Wendigo bad. A lot of things are going to be thrown at these people. They got to survive, and they got to kill it. So, pretty simple premise. The film actually reminds me a little bit of Winter Beast. So much so that I would say, go ahead and check out Winter Beast if you haven't seen it. That's another really awesome So Bad It's Good film. And obviously, Frostbiter, So Bad It's Good film, too. Great level. The music in this film is rockin' right out of the gate, although I do have to say that some of it feels really mismatched, and during at least 2 of the interviews I've already watched, there are comments made about how the volume level on the music used in the film was too much, and that's a big thing they regret about the film. I agree with that. It does have a tendency to kind of drown out the dialogue in many moments. Also, I just feel like the music, it's just mismatched. There will be something going on, and you're listening to the music, and you're just like, sure, this music's fun, but should there maybe be some other type of music at this moment to match the situation a little bit better? But hey, it's a So Bad It's Good film. Those types of films get a lot of passes, in my opinion, or just for me. It is pretty funny when you see the old man prosthetics on. That made me laugh, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a So Bad It's Good film for sure. They don't look good, especially if they're on a nicer looking television and this is Blu-ray, so you can see like how bad these look. It probably looked better when it was originally released in the 90s, but yeah, it's just kind of funny. Adds to the charm, in my opinion. As soon as the old man is dead, the film kicks into high gear with exploding windows, the old man melting, the skeleton fight, his skeleton fighting the other guys, I think it's Jerry and Dave, and getting pulled out of the cabin window and chomped. That sequence happens quickly. It's exciting, it's engaging, it's fun, and it just really snaps you into the film, in my opinion. And it's so early in the film that it really just gets its hooks into you, and you know, okay, they're probably going to be throwing more of this at us relatively soon. And they do. The pacing for this, especially for being a So Bad It's Good film, actually pretty solid, in my opinion. And even when there's not, like, wild things going on, it's still engaging with the banter, the interactions between the characters, and just, like, the kind of not great acting at play. That's, you know, us people who like So Bad It's Good films, that's one of the things we look for. We look for that certain type of acting that brings you joy in a certain way. When the new cabin of dudes is introduced, you feel like they're all there basically just to be fodder for the Wendigo. Not all of them, because some of them make it, but a lot of them don't. And yes, that's usually just what you assume when you've seen enough horror films. And for the most part, that is what's going on there. I do love the plane in the snow scene because it's hilariously fake looking. There are a bunch of things in this film that just look hilariously fake, but again, as a So Bad It's Good film to be enjoyed, it adds charm to it. Like, that's what we're looking for when we like films like this. And just seeing that plane that obviously looks fake in the snow that also obviously looks fake, it's just, it warms my heart. It warms my heart. Even though this is a film shot in the cold. And apparently the production was really cold because they were shooting outside a bunch. So much so that their equipment was freezing, so they couldn't shoot for too long a period a lot of the times, which sounds like that was a pain. The vision Sandy has in the plane gets me excited for what's coming, since they actually show a bunch of mayhem that you assume will be later on in the film, because why would they have visions of something that's not actually going to end up happening in the film? And that's what happens. And I love the fact that they just give you those quick glimpses along with her vision of, this is what you're in store for. Gets you pumped. Got me pumped. And I really can't wait to show this film to other people, honestly. It's that fun. The dinosaur on the plane wing is great. Even better is when it bites off Duke's head. Not 100% sure how it got in the plane, but it gets in the plane from what looks like the back seat, and then chomps his head off. It's gone. All the glorious blood spurting, sorry. I don't know why I said that weird. But they went hard on the practical effects for it being a very low budget film, and you can tell that. They did, I think, a pretty good job with the practical effects. I like where they're at. They hold up decently nowadays, and they're, you know, like, they're kind of cheesy, but they're still fun, and they're still pretty well executed, really. So I love that scene. Did not see that dinosaur on the wing coming. Is that potentially a nod to the Terror at 20,000 feet or whatever that one was? Maybe. Jerry's story when he busts in on the guys in the cabin is prime, amazing bad acting, in my opinion. That was one of the moments that was my favorite, packed with just So Bad It's Good line delivery. Love it. So great. Jerry was my favorite character. I love his acting style. It's very, like, ridiculous and over the top and kind of stilted. And again, that's what I like in So Bad It's Good films, so I really enjoyed that one. I like the dinosaur popping out of the chili and biting off Leo's hand, but then Gary catches on fire randomly, which is, like, even better. This film has a good ability to kind of, like, hit you with something and then hit you with something a little more wild right after it. So that you're just kind of like, whoa, and you haven't even gotten over the shock of seeing that first thing yet, and they hit you with another thing that just hits you with double shock. And it's awesome. For fans like me, it is great. A fan. Gotta love how calm everyone is after the mayhem in the cabin, too. This goes back to a So Bad It's Good film. There's some really out of control stuff that just happened, and yet people find the ability to be, like, pretty, you know, good tempered about what's going on and analytical and logical, and you're just kind of like, you'd be freaking out, or at least to some degree, and they're just like deadpan about things. They're just like, oh, now this is what we do, this is what we do. It's like, that's odd. You gotta love the Evil Dead 2 poster that is shown during the old hag showdown, which, another great scene. Anytime you have struggle with something that's being thrown at these people by the Wendigo, it's the best part of the film, you know? That's what's most engaging. And just going through the film for the first time, not really knowing what's in store so much, what they're going to throw at you, what's going to happen when they throw those things at you. There's a lot of like left field things, but that's part of the charm of the film. Didn't see it coming that Duke's headless body would pop out of the snow and go after Tony. I thought that was a funny moment, and that's one of the things too, is that you can tell this isn't a serious film. You can tell they weren't like, man, this is going to be real scary. It's going to be like a traditional scary horror film. It's very tongue-in-cheek. They're very much like, we're just going to make a film that we want to make, have fun with it. Yeah, it's going to be a little ridiculous and funny, but this is what we want to do. And you got to respect that. You really do. The black and white news programming, talking about Duke being missing, I don't really get that. That's the part of the film I did not like at all. I think it really does slow things down. So in those moments, the pacing kind of takes a big dip, even though overall the pacing is pretty good. I just don't like those moments, to be honest. And this is a good moment to pause for horror hydration. My apologies. The whole time they're dealing with Gary's body, I was waiting for him to come back to life and attack them. Obviously, that didn't end up happening right then, but I just was kind of, I wouldn't say like necessarily on the edge of my seat for it, but I was anticipating. I'm like, okay, and then his body pops up, and then his body pops up. And it didn't, which I like when filmmakers do that, because you have that instinct to think this is going to happen. And then they're just like, oh, you think it's going to happen? So for that reason, it's not going to happen. And then maybe we'll just hit you with something like that later when maybe you're not expecting it. So solid filmmaking. More chili demon dinosaurs. I am all about that. I especially love when you see the chili that was on the floor kind of like get sucked into one of the wall boards. And then that's what goes into forming these chili demon dinosaurs. That's what I'm calling them. I don't know if that's what they were called on set or anything, but chili demon dinosaurs. Love those things. I think there were 3 of them total, maybe. But just the fact that they're formed out of chili. What a wild, unique idea. I mean, awesome. Being the Guardian, this is a question. Being the Guardian, shouldn't Sandy see through to the Wendigo trick with her mother? I immediately thought that. Her mom starts coming at her. I don't know if the Wendigo has the ability to, like, put people in, like, a stupor or something, or get inside their heads, I don't know, and convince them that that's the actual person, but especially since she's the Guardian, wouldn't you think she'd be a bit more impervious to the Wendigo and their ways, and she wouldn't be tricked that, oh, my mother showed up on Manitou Island in the middle of a horrible snowstorm. That just didn't, like, I just didn't get that. That was a weird sequence. Obviously, it gets to something kind of fun with her starting to melt down to a degree with, like, regular blood and also, like, the green ooze blood. I mean, that's fun, but this is a little weird. Jerry says the creatures are all after Sandy, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense because they were going after other people from the get-go. Sandy wasn't there all along. Sandy was somewhere else. She ends up showing up in the middle of this. So when Jerry's like, oh, so they were all just after you. She just showed up, dude. Like, no. The Wendigo's just there because of where you are, and the Wendigo just kills people. Like, that's the Wendigo MO. Just gonna kill people. If the Guardian's there, good, because then the Wendigo will try and take care of the Guardian, because the Guardian is the person who can kill them. Or vanquish them, or whatever. Ends up being killing them in the end. But yeah. Love the stop motion animation with the giant Wendigo. The design is actually good. And I did watch the special feature with the guy who created it, who like sculpted it and like did the actual stop motion. No surprise here, he was greatly inspired by Ray Harryhausen. Everyone who does stop motion was greatly inspired by Ray Harryhausen for the most part. I am such a sucker for stop motion animation in film. I don't know what it is about it. Like, I think it's just that I have such a deep appreciation because I know it's A, not an easy thing to do, and B, time consuming. And it's just a cool art form. So Yeah, anytime I see it, I'm all about it. And even, especially in this instance where it looks really good. For how low budget and ridiculous this film is, it looks awesome. And that's one of the reasons I also like Winter Beast. And I think maybe that's part of where I'm seeing the comparison. Also, the kind of like winter comparison thing. Pete snaps out of his hypothermia real fast when Jerry's reanimated body needs to be dealt with. I thought that was kind of funny because he's like pretty much unresponsive with his hypothermia going downhill. And then as soon as that body shows up, he's just like, ugh! Jumps into action, shoots it. He's just like, I'm good to go all of a sudden. It's just one of those, just so happens in film that happens a lot. Awesome that they made a miniature cabin to blow up. I like that. There are a lot of scenes where it's shot and you can tell they're using a miniature, which is totally fine because, it's a so bad it's good film. But I love the fact that they actually just built like a miniature to actually blow it up for that scene. It still looked good. I mean, it wasn't, convincing as like an actual large cabin, but it got the point through. It was good. I do like how Sandy goes into the blown up cabin to get that final skull for that circle. And the Wendigo basically just leaves her alone when he easily could have taken her out. So that's why I was wondering, like, is there some sort of like protection around the Guardian? I don't know, but it kind of seemed like maybe that was the case because the Wendigo was right there, could see where she was, and she walks into this cabin, which has the roof fully blown off, and the Wendigo's right there. So I just didn't, I don't know. I guess the other people were trying to distract the Wendigo, I guess, but wouldn't the Wendigo know who the Guardian is and what objective they were trying to complete, and that skull circle was right there, so they'd be like protecting that more? I don't know. That just didn't jive with me. But whatever. The chain of lightning going around the skull circle, I like that a lot. That's a great moment of the film. It looks super cool, like how it just starts going all the way around. Really, really enjoy that. And they even show, I think, one of the skulls up close with it, kind of like lighting things up on the skull. Really enjoy that one. Love how the old man shows up like Obi-Wan's ghost and fights the Wendigo. Did not see that coming. I thought that old man was done for sure. But he shows up like blue ghost version and fights the Wendigo and takes him down. Unfortunately, with that going on and just how everything just came to kind of an abrupt stop after the Wendigo gets destroyed, it was kind of a not that great sudden ending in my opinion. I wanted a little bit more. It did feel like it needed a little something after the Wendigo is actually destroyed. But again, it's a so bad it's good film. We take what we can get. I actually do dig the ridiculous blue lighting in this film. It just looks cool. I just like it. I mean, I got ridiculous blue lighting back here, which looks actually very similar on screen. So yeah, maybe that's why I like it. I don't know. Again, the music chosen for the scene's pretty random. That's one of the weird things about the film, but good music, fun music. I'm not surprised with all the harsh shadows inside the cabin since it's such a low budget, so bad it's good flick. Really harsh shadows. That's one of the things that you see a lot in so bad it's good films, but it happens. And for being such a low budget film, the practical effects are not bad. Very surprised and very happy with that one. This is a good film. This is a fun film. So out of as a straight up film in the pantheon of all films, out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I mean it's probably like a 1.5 star, 1 star. I'd say 1 star film. But as a so bad it's good film, I gotta go 4 stars. Considered 4.5, so no, I'm kind of like in there, so it would technically be like a 4.25. But seeing as I don't do quarters, I'm going to go with 4 because I think it's closer to the 4 than 4.5. But know that I struggled on that one. So this is where I really want to hear from you guys about this film if you've seen it. Or if you're just intrigued by it, go ahead and put it in the comments. Do you love it? Do you hate it? In between? Let's nerd out about this film or just horror in general. Do me a quick favor, hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I would greatly, greatly appreciate that. Trying to grow this nerdy horror community where we can just talk about nerdy horror stuff because that's what I'm into. That's why I started the channel. Literally why I started the channel. It's not to make money because not making really any money, to be honest. But it's fun. Join this community. Also hit the notification bell button if you want to know when I'm putting up new videos which I'm doing 3 or 4 a week, which I think is a good amount. And yeah, thanks for taking your time to watch this video. Until next time, keep it brutal.